Fast casual spots like Chipotle, Cava, and Sweetgreen used to be the go-to for people who wanted something a little fresher or trendier than your typical fast food joint. But lately, even these brands are feeling the pinch. Stock prices are down, and fewer people are stopping in for those pricey bowls and burritos. It turns out, when everything else in life gets more expensive, even the cool lunch spots aren't immune to cutbacks. So what's actually going on behind the scenes for these once booming chains? Not too long ago, fast casual chains like Chipotle, Cava, and Sweetgreen were riding high while traditional fast food struggled. People saw these places as offering a little more bang for their buck. Better ingredients, customizable meals, and a vibe that felt a step up from drive-through burgers. That reputation for value helped them attract younger, higher-earning customers who were willing to pay a bit extra for lunch. But as prices kept creeping up and economic pressures mounted, even these brands started to feel the pinch. The days of fast casual being recession-proof are officially over. Not long ago, fast casual chains like Chipotle, Cava, and Sweetgreen were riding high, but now their stock prices have taken a serious hit. In fact, some have lost more than half their value over the past year. This sudden drop isn't just about Wall Street numbers. It's a sign that something's changing in how people spend their money. When stocks tumble this hard, it usually means investors are worried about the future, and in this case, it's all tied to fewer customers and tighter wallets. So, what's behind this reversal? Let's break it down. If you listen in on the latest earnings calls from Chipotle, Cava, and Sweetgreen, there's a clear trend popping up. Younger customers, think millennials and Gen Z, just aren't eating out as much, and when they do, they're tightening their wallets. Rising costs for everything from rent to groceries mean that pricey lunch bowls and burritos are now an easy thing to cut. These brands were built on steady traffic from younger, higher-earning folks, but even they're feeling the pinch. It's a sign that economic pressures are hitting more than just the usual suspects, and fast casual chains are feeling the fallout. It's not just a feeling. There's data to prove it. A recent study found that rising unemployment, tighter budgets, and higher living costs are all squeezing younger consumers. For many, grabbing a quick bite at their favorite fast casual spot just doesn't fit into the budget anymore. When money gets tight, eating out is often the first thing people cut. So it's no surprise that restaurants are seeing fewer young faces and smaller orders these days. When money gets tight, one of the first things people cut back on is eating out. Right now, that's exactly what's happening across the country. With higher prices for everything from rent to groceries, a lot of folks are rethinking those $15 or $20 lunches. Even people who used to treat themselves to fast casual spots like Chipotle or Sweetgreen are dialing it back. It's a clear sign that consumers are feeling the pinch and making tough choices about where their dollars go. Sticker shock isn't just a buzzword. It's what you feel when you see the price for a single burrito or salad bowl at places like Chipotle, Cava, or Sweetgreen. People are genuinely asking, how did lunch get so expensive? A burrito that used to cost under $7 a few years ago can now set you back $16. And if you want extra toppings, you might be staring at a $24 bill. These price hikes aren't just numbers. They're changing how often people eat out and what they're willing to spend. It's a clear sign that the fast casual experience isn't immune to rising costs, and customers are starting to push back. Chipotle is the big player in the fast casual world, with nearly 4,000 locations across the country. But then you've got Cava and Sweetgreen, which are much smaller in scale, each with just a few hundred spots. Even though their footprints are tiny compared to Chipotle, their approach is pretty similar. You walk in, pick your base, choose your toppings, and build your own bowl. Sweetgreen is all about salads, while Cava brings Mediterranean flavors to the mix. So, while the names and ingredients might change, the basic idea, customizable, quick meals, stays the same. Chipotle, Cava, and Sweetgreen might serve up different flavors, but they're all facing the same tough reality right now. As public companies, their financial performance is out in the open, and investors are watching closely. Rising costs, fewer customers, and changing spending habits are putting pressure on each brand, no matter what's on their menu. It's a clear sign that the economic challenges in the fast casual sector aren't just about what you eat. They're about how much people are willing or able to spend. What we're seeing from fast casual chains right now is straight out of the recession playbook. Instead of slashing prices or rolling out big discounts, they're choosing to hold the line, hoping their brand and menu will keep customers coming back. This is a pretty common move when companies feel squeezed but don't want to start a price war. It's a sign that these brands are feeling the pressure, but they're still trying to avoid the deep discounting you see at traditional fast food spots. Basically, they're betting that their core customers will stick around even as wallets get tighter. Even though nearly a third of all restaurant visits now include some kind of deal or discount, fast casual chains like Chipotle, Cava, and Sweetgreen are holding their ground. Unlike traditional fast food spots that jump into price wars with value menus, these brands are sticking to their regular pricing. They're trying to set themselves apart by focusing on quality and experience, rather than racing to the bottom on price. But with customers feeling the pinch and cutting back on dining out, it's a risky move. For now, these chains seem more interested in protecting their brand image than chasing short-term traffic with heavy discounts. Fast casual brands like Chipotle, Cava, and Sweetgreen have always wanted to be seen as a step above your typical fast food spot. Instead of jumping into the heavy discounting and value menu battles that McDonald's and Wendy's are famous for, these chains focused on fresher ingredients and a more premium vibe. Their strategy was to offer something that felt healthier or more customizable, even if it meant charging a bit more. But by staying out of the value wars, they've also made it harder to attract price-sensitive customers when times get tough. It's a balancing act, trying to look upscale without losing the folks who are watching their wallets. Let's break down where each of these fast casual giants stands financially. Chipotle is still pulling in billions of dollars every quarter, so even though they're feeling the pinch, they're far from struggling. Cava, on the other hand, isn't in trouble, but its rapid growth has definitely hit the brakes lately. Then there's Sweetgreen, which is in the toughest spot. Despite being around for almost 2 decades, they're actually losing more money now than ever before. So, while all three brands are facing headwinds, their financial health varies a lot depending on the company. Sweetgreen's financial struggles are raising some eyebrows, especially among investors. Despite being in business for almost 20 years, the company still hasn't managed to turn a profit. This is a big deal because most businesses are expected to find their financial footing much sooner. Investors are starting to question whether Sweetgreen's business model can actually deliver sustainable returns, or if the high costs and pricey salads are just too much for today's cautious consumers. With losses piling up year after year, the pressure is definitely on for Sweetgreen to prove it can make money. One of the main reasons Sweetgreen is having a tough time turning a profit comes down to its high general and administrative costs. A big chunk of this is executive pay, which is taking a noticeable bite out of the company's bottom line. Even though Sweetgreen has been around since 2007, these overhead expenses are making it harder for them to get out of the red. Investors are starting to worry, especially since the company promised profitability but hasn't delivered yet. It's a classic case of costs at the top weighing down the whole operation. Chipotle is bracing for a tough year ahead, with expectations that its same-store sales will continue to decline through the end of 2025. This metric is super important for big restaurant chains because it tracks how well existing locations are performing, not just new ones opening up. When same-store sales drop, it usually means fewer people are coming in or they're spending less. For investors and company leaders, that's a red flag about consumer habits and overall business health. Basically, Chipotle is signaling that the challenges facing fast casual dining aren't going away anytime soon. When it comes to restaurant chains, same-store sales are a key metric that investors watch closely. If those numbers aren't growing, it's usually a sign that something's off with customer demand or pricing. So, when big names like Chipotle, Cava, and Sweetgreen start reporting drops in same-store sales, it's not just a minor hiccup. It's a warning signal for the whole fast casual sector. Investors see this trend and get nervous, because it suggests that even loyal customers are pulling back. In the world of business, flat or falling same-store sales often mean tougher times ahead. Both Chipotle and Sweetgreen are seeing a real shift in their customer base, especially among people aged 25 to 35. This group, once a reliable source of steady sales, is now choosing to eat at home more often. With rising costs everywhere, rent, groceries, student loans, it's no surprise that pricey lunches are the first thing to go. Even higher-earning millennials and Gen Z are feeling the pinch, and that's showing up in the numbers for these fast casual chains. When the core customers start cutting back, it's a clear sign that economic pressures are hitting home. Sweetgreen has been hit especially hard by a drop in sales from younger adults, who make up a big chunk of their customer base. With salads often costing between $14 and $20, many people in their 20s and 30s are deciding it's just too expensive to keep up their lunch habits. The company's own data shows sales from this group fell by about 15%, which is a steep decline. For a brand that built its reputation on fresh, healthy food for busy millennials, these higher prices are starting to backfire. It's a clear sign that even customers who once saw value in fast casual dining are now feeling the pinch. Cava is pushing back against the idea that fast casual meals are becoming too pricey, especially when compared to their competitors. Their CEO points out that you can get a chicken fillet bowl with all the toppings for under $13, even in places like New York City where everything tends to cost more. So while some chains are charging upwards of $20 for a salad or burrito, Cava says their menu still offers a decent value. It's their way of reassuring customers that eating out doesn't have to break the bank, even as prices everywhere seem to be climbing. Here's the core problem. Fast casual chains like Chipotle, Cava, and Sweetgreen have been raising their prices year after year, assuming people would just keep coming back. For a while, customers went along with it, since everything else was getting more expensive too. But now, with rent, groceries, and student loans all piling up, folks are finally saying, enough is enough. The result? Even loyal diners are cutting back, and these brands are feeling the squeeze. It's a classic case of pushing prices too far until the consumer just can't keep up anymore. Take a look at what you're paying for lunch these days, and it's no wonder people are rethinking their habits. Just a few years ago, grabbing a burrito at Chipotle or a salad at Sweetgreen cost way less than it does now. Prices have jumped so much that what used to be a quick, affordable meal can now set you back $15 or even $20. With everything else, rent, groceries, insurance, getting more expensive too, it's clear why folks are frustrated and starting to cut back on dining out. The numbers don't lie. When prices outpace paychecks, something's got to give. Unlike your usual fast food spots, fast casual chains like Chipotle, Cava, and Sweetgreen have built their business around higher-earning millennials and Gen Z. These are the folks who, at least on paper, should have been able to weather economic bumps better than most. But lately, even this group is starting to cut back on eating out. With everything from rent to student loans getting more expensive, their wallets are feeling the squeeze. When the customers who are supposed to be the most resilient start pulling back, it's a clear sign that the economic pressure is hitting just about everyone. When you see higher-income millennials and Gen Z starting to cut back on dining out, that's a big red flag for the economy. These are the folks who were supposed to be insulated from rising costs, but now even they're feeling the pinch. Rent, groceries, insurance, and student loans have all gotten more expensive, and wages just aren't keeping up. So, when the $15 lunch habit gets dropped, it's not just about restaurant sales. It's a signal that the economic stress is spreading wider than the headlines might suggest. If the people who usually keep spending are tapping out, it's worth asking how stable things really are under the surface. If you're in your mid-20s or early 30s right now, you've probably noticed that just about everything costs more these days. Rent is at record highs, groceries haven't really gotten cheaper, and insurance and student loan payments are eating up bigger chunks of your paycheck. Meanwhile, wages aren't rising fast enough to cover all these extra costs. So, it's no surprise that a lot of people are cutting back on things like dining out, especially when a simple lunch can set you back $15 or $20. When rent, groceries, and bills keep climbing, something's gotta give. And for a lot of people, it's that pricey lunch habit. Dropping $15 to $20 on a single meal just doesn't make sense when your paycheck isn't stretching as far as it used to. So, it's no surprise that eating out is one of the first expenses people cut back on. Fast casual spots like Chipotle, Cava, and Sweetgreen are feeling this shift big time, as more customers choose to eat at home or look for cheaper options. Here's the deal. Restaurant prices have been climbing way faster than people's paychecks, and it's finally catching up with the industry. Customers who used to grab a quick bowl or burrito are now rethinking those $15 to $20 lunches. When everything from rent to groceries is more expensive, eating out is one of the first things to get cut. So, it's not just about food. It's a sign that people are hitting their financial limits, and restaurants are feeling the squeeze. Some folks say we're already living through a recession, even if the experts haven't put a label on it yet. Why? Because the numbers are starting to line up with what people feel in their everyday lives. Prices for rent, groceries, and insurance are still climbing, but paychecks aren't keeping up. When you add in things like student loans and higher unemployment, it's no wonder people are cutting back, especially on things like eating out. So even if the headlines say the economy's fine, for a lot of Americans, it doesn't feel that way at all. At the moment, it's not your average person grabbing lunch or shopping that's driving the economy forward. Instead, the real engine is the billions of dollars tech giants are pouring into artificial intelligence and other cutting-edge projects. This surge in corporate investment is masking some of the slowdown we're seeing in everyday spending. If those tech dollars suddenly dried up, the economic picture would look a lot more like what most Americans are actually feeling: tight budgets and cautious spending. So while headlines might talk about growth, it's really the tech sector doing the heavy lifting right now. If all that tech spending suddenly disappeared, the economy would probably start to resemble what fast casual restaurants like Chipotle, Cava, and Sweetgreen are dealing with right now. For everyday Americans, that means tighter budgets, fewer nights out, and a lot more price sensitivity. These chains are already seeing fewer customers and lower sales, especially among younger people who are feeling the pinch from rising costs and stagnant wages. It's a clear sign that beneath the headlines, the average consumer is struggling to keep up. In other words, the tough reality facing these restaurants could be a preview of what's ahead for the broader economy. So when you look at Chipotle, Cava, and Sweetgreen, their recent struggles aren't just about expensive burritos or salads. They're a snapshot of what's happening across the economy. People are feeling the pinch from higher prices, stagnant wages, and all those extra costs piling up. So eating out is one of the first things to go. Even brands that were once seen as a better value than traditional fast food are now facing the same tough reality. It's a sign that consumers everywhere are hitting their limits, and businesses are scrambling to adapt. In the end, these restaurant chains are just one example of how shifting economic pressures are changing the way we all spend and save.